IronVest, when I think about it, would be hardworking. I know the team at IronVest to always be striving to uncover opportunities, to be able to present off-market properties, and I just know them to work diligently at their profession.
So it's funny, I've been in the real estate business for over 30 years now in Birmingham, and I know a lot about residential real estate, but I know relatively little about commercial real estate. And we own some commercial buildings and strategically decided we wanted to sell some several years ago, and I needed somebody that could represent us well. And so I reached out to the people at IronVest and asked them to help us sell these buildings, and basically took the buildings to them and said, we want your opinion of a fair value, we want them to be marketed professionally, and we want the transaction to happen pretty quickly. And even though we've been in the business for a while on the residential side, we need somebody in these commercial transactions to give us a little bit more hand-holding, and we want you to be there all the way through the end. And what we found is they exceeded our expectations in each of those areas.
IronVest was instrumental in my acquiring a number of parking lots and a historical building in downtown Birmingham, and the parking was critical for the success of the developments. One was the Valley Hotel in Homewood, which has proven to be highly successful, and the other is a building we now call Next Tech, which was to be an extension of Innovation Depot, where parking was also of critical importance.
Always approachable, always professional, always had our interests in mind, and literally were there until we got the check at the end. And looking back on it, I would not change a thing about the way those transactions went. And I will also say that I'm pretty particular about how things go, and I'm probably a pretty tough critic to please, but I'm extremely pleased with everyone at IronVest.
I've known IronVest for a little over 10 years, actually. I'm an analytical person, so when we went to look for a new corporate headquarters, I was like, hey, I want to get 5 or 6 real estate agents, commercial brokers to interview those people. So I started asking around, and I heard Robert's name came up. It didn't come up once, it came up 3 times. So everybody I had talked to said, hey, you need to talk to IronVest.
It starts when he makes the first phone call to me and says, Thornton, I have an opportunity that I think you may be interested in. And Robert and the IronVest team continue to follow up on the deals that we've done together today. And some of those transactions are 2 years old. And so it's not just a phone call, here's a marketing brochure, and they let you go on your way. It's a shepherded process through, and would absolutely use IronVest again.
Still did the research, and I called Robert first. We had an hour and a half long conversation about what we were looking for, where we wanted to be, the type of space we wanted. He really thoroughly understood that. And then I called 3 other like corporate brokers or real estate brokers in town, and I didn't talk to him for longer than 10 minutes. That's how much we meshed with IronVest and the culture and kind of the diligence and excellence that they were providing us in looking for the right space.
Any developer loves to acquire property that's called off-market, and IronVest has been highly successful at locating property of that nature and bringing it to our attention and allowing us to acquire it to make significant improvements to real estate I'm trying to develop.
Of the 2 land deals that I've done with IronVest, it has been a joy to watch the uniqueness of both transactions. One was an unzoned site in an up-and-coming area in Avondale, and then the other one was in an established community in Mountain Brook that was an undeveloped site that had some externalities and some intricacies that did not make it just a automatic buy. And to watch him navigate me through that process and to help guide me into making the best decision for the future development was a lot of fun. But I would just say that from an integrity and from an execution standpoint, there was never any doubt that Robert and IronVest were going to do everything that they could to get the best deal for me as the buyer, while also maintaining interest through the deal.
When I think of Robert and his team, I think of integrity. I would probably more broadly define it as character. And I've just known Robert in so many settings and trust him completely. I think Robert is the kind of man that is truly unusual. He to me, the relationship that I share with Robert is one of extreme trust. And he's a password kind of guy. I would give him a password to my computer. I would give him a key to my home without reservation. It is that kind of almost like family trust. And so when I think of integrity, certainly the integrity of IronVest comes through with Robert and his leadership. But I would also think capacity. By capacity, I mean the professional capacity to get a deal done. It's one thing to trust somebody, which is fundamental to any relationship, but it's sort of a different thing in that, even though you trust somebody, they've got to be able to perform. They've got to, be able to execute in a professional capacity. And Robert and his team really do that and have certainly done that in the transactions we have had with them.
I would say integrity, which is always to me the most important core value of business. I've known people to change a lot of habits, but I've never known anybody who lacked integrity to grow it over time. So as I said, I've known Robert Crook since he was a young child, and there's never been a moment that I questioned his integrity.
We actually had a deal where Robert was going to buy something on the same block that we bought something. And our location was actually the anchor location. It was moving into a kind of new area where this worked and that worked together, and we were all collaborating to kind of put a new area on the map for the city and help Birmingham and also help our businesses. Ultimately, a new listing came up that I'd always wanted, and this was a week before close, a week before Robert was about to make a good commission on nearly a whole block of space. And I called and I said, this other building is really the best space for my company, and I just can't get around it. What do you think I should do, Robert? And without flinching, he said, you need to do what's best for your company. You need to take me and our company out of the equation. You have a responsibility to do what's best for your company. Even that came at a financial detriment to Robert. He did that, didn't make me feel bad about that in the least, and that will inspire loyalty from our crew for as long as IronVest is calling on us.
The thing that excites me about IronVest is just what is to come. I've been in this city for 57 years now, and I've been in this industry residentially for over 30 years. And every now and then somebody comes along that is truly special and puts together a team that is truly special, and I cannot wait to see what Robert and the other professionals at IronVest do for the city of Birmingham for the next several decades. It's going to be fantastic. I really believe in Robert and his team.
I would be disappointed if IronVest isn't a national brand. That's how incredible they are.
Would I recommend IronVest to a friend and client? Well, I can say yes because I've done so. With friends, investors, nonprofits even looking for space that know that they can trust this person, that it's not going to be transactional, that this firm has a greater mission than just its monetary one. So certainly.
You won't find a better group of hardworking folks. It's been a great relationship. It always feels like you're their only client. Even though I know the real estate world really well and everybody has a ton of plate spinning, and it's whether I call it 9 p.m. at night or 7 a.m. in the morning, even if they're on actually I see them coming in at 7 a.m. I wish I could get our folks to come in at 7 a.m. but they're hitting the parking lot early because we share some parking. But yeah, it was obvious. The other thing is their knowledge base is so fantastic. I've ridden around with a lot of people in this market area, and we're going through buildings, and I'm like, that one's a nice building, and it's like, well, that one's actually owned by this person, and I've been talking to them for 2 years, and it's like, well, that's a cool lot. It's like, that's actually owned by this person, and I think they might sell. Like, it wasn't about like what's listed on the market. It was about what I needed, what I wanted, and hey, they were gonna go out and get it.
One of the beautiful things about real estate is growth and success can be defined in lots of terms, but they're both limitless. They're only capped by what you feel you can accomplish. And I think the opportunity that lays ahead for IronVest in Birmingham, in Huntsville, in the state of Alabama, in areas beyond is limitless. And if they take their core values and what they've established over the last 6 years, and they parlay that into the next 6 years, I think there's some exciting things to come.